Do you and your spouse fight about finances? Today we're talking to Kim Graham. She is a money mastery coach, and I am super excited because this has been flooding our support group lately. So Kim, I just want you to come on here, tell us what you do, who you are, and who you work with, and then we're going to roll right into some big questions.
Yay, I'm so excited. Hello, everyone. My name is Kimberly Graham. I am a money mastery coach. I'm a mom of three. I just had a baby last year, 2024, end of 2024. And I really love talking about money and helping couples understand how to talk about money, how to manage their money effectively in a way that aligns with their values. Because if we don't understand how we communicate and how we understand money, it's going to be really hard to convey that to our partners. And this is a huge topic, a huge issue in many marriages. And so I love to be able to help couples understand how to communicate with each other about finances and then how to come up with a plan that gets them to a place where they're able to save, invest, talk about money, go on vacations, shop without tension, all of that jazz. So that's who I am and who I work with. I think those are all the main questions you asked first. I'm just really excited to be here and share any questions, any knowledge that people need. I'm an open book.
So for me personally, this is an area that I can really honestly say I'm very bad at. I am not good with my own finances. I'm not good at budgeting. I'm a little bit of an emotional spender as well. So this is an area that I never give advice on. So I'm really glad that you're here and in the group that we can kind of refer to you and say, again, help these people, including myself, help me. But I guess just from my point of view, just my marriage. What are those steps? Like, where do you really start when a couple is so opposite? Like, I'm the wife that's like, honey, like, I don't even want to deal with this. So when you have two people that look at finances completely differently, they're coming to you, what would be kind of the first step?
Yeah, I see that all the time where one spouse is like really into the numbers and the other spouse is like, I have no idea what's going on. And that can be really dangerous, right? That can go into really dangerous waters, especially if we're talking about trust and like, are you good? Or if they're gone and you're like, what do I even do? How do I take on this mantle? So the understanding and communication is something that first and foremost you have to both agree. It's important that we both have an understanding of what's going on with our finances. Have we tried other ways to figure it out and it's just not working? That's typically when people come to me and they're like, help, I don't know. So here's what I tell them to do first is to understand their values. Don't talk about money, right? When you're trying to, I know it sounds like a little bit backwards, but like you think the root cause or the root problem is, oh no, we need to talk about money. That's the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is you don't have an understanding of how you view money and you don't understand how to convey that. So I have couples come to me and they start with understanding their archetype. So I have a quiz where you could talk about like your archetype, your financial archetype. Where do you fall into these categories? Where do you mainly live? So if you're an emotional spender, I'm an emotional spender. I'm a person who's like, I want to be able to just go and spend how I want to spend, and my husband's more of a saver. You would think that because we're opposites that we would fight a lot, but we don't. We learned how to leverage each other's strengths. So my strength is that I can find a deal. Right. And I not only can find a deal, like you asked me to plan something, a vacation, and that's what we're grounding our values and stuff around. I will do whatever it takes to get to that goal. And for him, he knows that that's a part of the process too. If I understand his goals of being able to save, of investing, and that's an important like pillar for him, and I can understand why that's important, then we can understand how to leverage each other's strengths to get to our goals. So the first thing I ask for clients to do is to understand those values, understand your goals. If we can talk around that and we can have fun just dreaming together, then the conversation of money organically comes in. If I want to go to Disney 5 times a year and that's the life I want to live, and he's like, yeah, I love that. I would feel better if we did that, if we had a fully funded emergency fund. Great. Now we're having the money conversation, and it's not you attacking him or vice versa. We're working together to get to the life we desire. So that's kind of like the first step to talk and dream with each other before you come up with the plan with the money.
Mm. So, and now maybe I put the cart before the horse here, but how about if your spouse doesn't want to talk about money? You have somebody that is financially controlling, or sometimes they'll call them financially abusive.
Mhm.
What do you do then?
Yeah, so I've actually dealt many times with couples who are in that situation as well. Like I met with one couple where the husband was the one who was kind of manipulative when it comes to the finances, and the wife came to me like, "We don't know what to do. We're trying to get it together." I would give them prompts to have conversations and do the dreaming, and it was almost like they were completely on purpose derailing the train, but didn't want to follow through. And in that regard, I told her, I said, "Hey, you need to go ahead. You need to be the person who kind of spearheads this. You can't wait for them to get on board with you. If you know that if you want to get to this point in your life and this is something that's important to you, you're going to have to take matters into your own hands and but continue to open the door. Continue to say this is what we can do. Can we work together here? Continue to open the door and let them understand that this is actually a good thing for us. But if they're not willing to get there, that's okay. Sometimes we just got to let it be. And you make sure that you're where you need to be. Now, in this particular situation, they did end up later on getting divorced, but the work we did together allowed her to get finances in order, have an understanding of how to manage her money well, paid off a ton of her debt. So she was able to leave the divorce by that point and was able to leave when it got dangerous instead of staying around because of the finances. So not every situation is going to end up like that. Oh, hopefully, like that's not what we want. However, if you're in a situation where one spouse is in it and the other spouse isn't, and you're trying to get better at it, you're going to have to understand that you're going to have to be the example in this regard. They're probably not going to jump on the bandwagon at first. And that's again going back to why are you the way that you are? I think about The Office all the time where he's like, why are you the way that you are? But seriously, like why are you so averse to talking about money? We don't have to talk about our money. I got that. But I want to understand more about you so I can understand how to communicate with you and how to bring you in the conversation. And if there's resistance there, then that's a really good telltale sign that it is beyond you. You have done what you need to do in getting your family where it needs to be. And it's time to kind of let that go and they need to go on their own soul searching for themselves.
Mm. Yeah, we had a member specifically request help in regards to she felt like her spouse was not receptive of even having that conversation and was abusing their finances. In fact, she said that they were so far in debt that they might be looking at bankruptcy. Her question was, she was actually asking, does it help to divorce? Does it help her financially to divorce? And so she was at an extreme. I guess when someone is coming here and they're just so frustrated because they're in such a bad financial place, is there an out there? Is like, I mean, the way I see it, I feel like you're a couple, so you're going to be both be held liable for everything. But maybe there, I don't know. Can I ask your
Yeah,
take on that
and
one?
this is yeah, and there's so many unique situations that we're going to be dealing with here. For that particular situation, if divorcing is something like if in other areas you're just not compatible and you're like divorcing would make it really easy for me to manage my money and he manages his money and he doesn't touch it, then if that's the route you want to take, then that's the path you take. But be like get in there, right? Ask the questions, talk to a lawyer and ask if that's what we need to do in order to get to a place where I have more understanding of my finances and can kind of get on the right page so that I don't have to deal with that, you know, messing things up, right? The other thing is, other than divorce, there's different things where people can decide, I just want to have separate finances. You can have your own account and deal with what you got to deal with, but I have my own account. I don't personally like that, especially if your end goal is to be together. But again, if your spouse is not at all receptive to any of those things, then yeah, those measures might not have to be taken if that's going to make it easier for you to be able to keep your finances on track and get to your individual goals while they work on their soul searching because they obviously need a little bit more support, help in understanding how to manage their own and regulate their own emotions when it comes to money or when it comes to communication. And that's a tough decision that's going to have to be made. So because money touches everything. And I
Mhm.
think that's the thing that's really important for everyone to recognize that if you think about something that money does not touch, it's really hard to come up with something because it touches every part. So that's a huge thing that if that trust is being violated, you're going to have to take some drastic measures, especially if you've tried to have conversations, you've tried to create a budget, you've tried to mediate. It's time to call in some other people to help you and support you.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. It can't just be about the just the finances. It has to be the whole, like you got to take a look at everything. And I don't think, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that if you divorce that you know if you're declaring bankruptcy, but you divorce that one person is exempt from the bankruptcy.
Hmm.
Like
Right.
especially if your both names are on the house or both names are on the, I don't think that one person is exempt.
No, no. So if you divorce, it isn't like it's just, oh, well, he gets it or she gets
Right.
all of that. It's going to be something, that's why a divorce lawyer would be something beneficial for this particular person to have that conversation. Most of the debt, if you brought it all out, if the debt was all in his name and it was all something that he accrued, then that's a different story. Yes, you could leave and be like, that's not me, that's all you. However, if your names are both on it, then either it's split down the middle, or it's something that one or both of you are going to have to be able to take care of and mediate. And that is also something else again where we were talking about how money touches everything. If that's not something you want to continue to go down, and even if it is all his fault, right? If this particular person is like, no, it's him, he did the debt, but because you're married and because your name is on the deed or your name is on the credit card, it is both of your debt. And so
Hmm.
more so, that's even more reason to call in a divorce lawyer to say, like, what do we do here? Because I'm tired of accruing debt that's not mine.
Right. And let's say you get to that place where your spouse is willing to talk about it and move forward and kind of get on the joint, you know, almost like get together and create a plan. Now, I read a couple of your posts that like you picked up a bunch of side hustles to get you guys, to get out of debt. Like you want to get out of debt, you're underwater, like you're feeling underwater because you're just so far in debt. But you're ready to go forward. Anything there that we can help with?
Oh, yeah. So if you are at that point, I think it's really important. The reason why my husband and I, we paid off $76,000 in 28 months. Now, I will say everybody has a flex. We call them in our world a millionaire flex, something that we're able to do or we are able to leverage that maybe other people might not have. It could be that I have grandparents nearby that can watch my kids. It could be that I get discounts at the place that I work and it happens to be for something like groceries. I don't know. Those types of things. Everybody has a flex. You could have a skill that's really good, that's easy to sell, or a skill where you're able to, use as a side hustle. For us, our flex at that point is that we had no kids, right? So we were teachers. We were making $56,000 combined, and we had $76,000 of student loan debt. And we were like, I don't like it because there was all private loans. So it was a lot of monthly money coming out and we weren't making a lot. So the only option for us was to go get some extra side hustles. So if you're in that situation, now if you have kids, like I said, you're going to have a different flex. You're going to have to figure out, like, okay, could one of us go get an extra shift? Could one of us go get an extra job? Maybe on the weekends, we're sacrificing a couple weekends a month so that we can go do a gig. So we did things that were like gigs, like catering, pizza, delivering pizza. We worked for my husband knows how to be a clown. So he would go to do like birthday parties and anniversary or like reunions and stuff like that and like do clowning. We would do summer because we're both teachers. We would tutor, we would do summer school. So those types of things are the things that we picked up to get some extra cash. Now, here's where things get crazy because people say, well, I got the extra job. I got the extra this. I'm working all this extra money. My debt still isn't going down. You don't have a plan, right? You might think in your head, I'm going to get an extra job. I'm going to get an extra $1,000 and I'm going to throw that at my debt. Sounds great in theory, but in real time, you don't actually have a financial plan, a budget system, something that you're able to both come together and talk about and say, okay, I got this extra money and ensure that it goes to that debt. That's the reason why you're not seeing progress. So you're going to be stuck in this gig economy for a very long time. I didn't want to be stuck there, neither did he. So we were very adamant to ensure that when we sat down, whatever extra money was brought in, it went straight to debt. And that's where we were able to pay it off even faster, was because of that intentionality. So that is the magic sauce that you have to make sure that you put in there. It's more than just getting an extra job and getting extra hours and getting overtime. That's great. But are you following through and making sure that goes towards the debt?
Oh gosh, Kim, I feel so convicted in a good way. I feel conviction in a good way. I do. I do. I mean, it never feels good, but it's good. Like it's,
Yeah.
I need to really get a better, I got to put together a plan. Just,
Hmm.
even if it's just for myself, that I can stick to something so that I can contribute better to the plan that, the future plan that we have.
Hmm.
Um, wow. So, and I just want to just point out here, a lot of the coaches, and Kim is an example of this. When you walk the walk, right? Coaches can't just talk the talk. The coaches
Right.
that have walked the walk can be so powerful because they know where you are, or they can understand, they can empathize exactly where you are. They're like, yes, I've been there. I feel that. I know how hard it is to pick up that other gig or pick up that other. I don't really want to put a clown nose on my face, but right there's
I,
there right like, but the picture that it can be so powerful if you and your spouse can get on that same page and alternate weekends or alternate evening shifts or whatever it is to get you to, unite to pursue that goal, right?
exactly.
Like that is just incredibly powerful. So first of all, praise you and Dan for doing this. And then for passing the torch and like helping other people walk through this journey themselves. There was a post I want to just read what she said. This was from Sarah. She says, my husband complains about our spending. He will plug an expensive electric heater for his bare feet rather than warm socks. It's so maddening and wasteful, and he wonders why our electric bill is so high and blames me uh, for any spending. So I'm just going to pass this over to you because I know how I'm pulling. I know what I'm pulling from there, but I want to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah, it sounds like my husband and I are writing a book right now. He's actually writing it. I'm adding my 2 cents. I'm not a writer. I'm not an author. I guess I am if I'm a part of this book, but my husband's writing a book called Wealth Happens Here. And we talk about how it happens in the communication. It also happens in the underlying thing. So in this one, we have something that we coin called a mighty me, which is the person who's like, I can do everything. I've got the finances. I'm going to do this. And it's all me. I'm the powerful one. Don't worry about it. I got it. Right. But if anything goes wrong, who's the target? Because I'm the one managing the money. I should be able to do all the things that I want to do, but you can't. Right. And it's not something, it's no fault of their own. Right. If we go back and we think about how our parents dealt with money, what types of things we're seeing. If you look at, sitcoms, I watch sitcoms, I like TV shows. If you look at any depiction of a good, solid, or like a typical couple, there's always one who's good with money and one who's bad with money, and the one's hiding the purchases. Like that's what we're seeing in our society. We're not seeing a balanced understanding and a balanced front with finances. We're just not. You have to go search for those things, right? So in this regard, in this Sarah, I think is her name, you said, one, he is like saying he is putting his own comfort and regard over the finances. And he's not seeing that that is something that is causing a rift in the finances or a rift in the communication. And that is something that he has to recognize. Unfortunately, any person, like I can come in and I can look at that and go, yeah, that's really selfish that you're not just putting on socks, that you're putting your feet in the heater instead of doing that, because do you see how how the electric heat is going up? But the issue is so far below that. Why? Where is that coming from? What are our conversations looking like? Do we talk about money together? Right? Are we actually sitting down and like looking at the heating bill together and actually thinking, okay, let's see what changes we can make over the next 30 days and see if we can see a difference, right? Instead of saying it's your fault, look at what you're doing with the heater, that's the reason why the electricity is so high. Now we're causing conflict. What if we're trying to be solutions based and we're saying, hey, I don't think it's my spending, you don't think it's your your use of this foot warmer, let's put it to the test in the next 30 days, let's try and do this and see if we see a better outcome, right?
Hmm.
Let's see if we can save more money. And honestly, I'm also thinking it's not really about the fact that the electricity bill is high. It's that she can't spend what she wants because she's getting targeted, that the spending is her issue,
Yeah.
which again goes back to, are we having conversations about money in a way that is proactive, that is solutions based, or are we tense and fighting about money? If that's how if we're only talking about money when there's an issue, it's no wonder why we hate talking about it, right? So we need to be proactive in saying, let's come up with a plan. Let's work together. I don't think my spending is a problem. You don't think this is a problem. Let's come up with a plan to make sure that we actually have a balanced approach with our finances. If we can get there, then we're working as a united front. Now, when he's looking and he's hanging out in front of the TV with his foot warmer, I'm not pissed looking at that. That's not really the issue. And when she
Hmm.
comes home with her, bags full of Target or wherever she chooses to go, he's not pissed looking at her because they both have a plan for their finances. Oh yeah, she has like $300. She can spend whatever she wants. Oh,
Hmm.
you know what? The electric bill is fine. We know exactly how much we're going to be spent. He's fine.
Hmm.
It comes back down to like that first level that I just mentioned at the beginning of our conversation.
Because you're
Right.
right. Like it's really when it comes down to it's not the electrical heat or the electric heater, the little space heater. That's not going to make or break
Mhm.
the bank, right? There's something underlining. And I think that you're right when you even said, when she referred to she can't spend, but he can, there's a deeper root there, right? There's a disconnect with them as a couple pursuing something together and then also creating that plan. So, I mean, and this is a great segue just to talk about now you have something called the Wealth Navigator, and you are gifting this to all of the members. Can you tell us about it? Because this is a great resource.
It's such a great resource. And I will tell you this, right? If you go on Google right now and just look up, I need a budget, right? Budget, Excel spreadsheet, whatever, you're going to find billions, not even like thousands, billions of options of different types of budgets that you could possibly buy. You're going to, or get for free.
Hmm.
It is not the tool like people see Rocket Money, they see Mint, which isn't there anymore, which makes me really sad. I love Mint. Every dollar you're going to hear like all these different apps that promise that they're going to give you clarity with your finances. And although the apps and all that stuff might do it automatically, and even if the budgeting Excel spreadsheets, they also might be helpful, that they might create clarity. But those are not, those are just simply tools. What really changes your understanding of your finances and the things that actually shift is you. You have to have the intention behind what you're using. What's the point of having an app that after the fact you're like, whoops, I spent too much money. Too late, it's already gone. When you're not using it in real time, when you're not using it for understanding to change behavior, it's just a tool that's telling you you spent all that money. You already know, you just now know how much. That's it. So this navigating tool is a 3 month, so it's a 90-day tool. It's a budget spreadsheet, okay? And I know that might be like, that's it, but this tool, when used appropriately, and I tell you exactly how to use it, when used appropriately, can help you do some amazing things in being aware in real time where your money is going. I just had a client this past quarter who started with me and we used the tool. Now, one of the things that I do in my coaching practice is not just give you the tool and say, peace out, have fun, but I am actually going in there and going, again, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? What are the things that you want to accomplish with your spouse? All those things. And we use the tool and we really comb through it and see habits. We try to change habits from week to week. We look through and we see how much do we want to save. And my client was able to actually put $8,000 towards paying off a debt that she was so deathly afraid of. She's been staring at it since the beginning of last year, finally hired me in the middle of the summer. And by November, when it was due, she had paid the whole thing off early and was able to get to a place where she was able to pay for her mortgage the beginning of the month instead of paying it weekly because she was so afraid of where her money was going. And she was able to put $13,000 in savings along with that. All of that because she had awareness of where her money was going with this tool. So
Mm.
when you're using the tool effectively, it works. If you're using it, punching it in, and then just not looking at it, then it's not going to work for you. So I have it in there for you. You are welcome to have it. And if you're looking for additional support there, right, with having someone walk you through it, talking you through it, that is something that you can also connect with me. I'm an open book, like I said, to get on a call with me and just talk it out because that's ultimately like a lot of the times what people want is someone to just strategize with them and hear them and go, is this the right idea? And being able to actually have someone who's going to be able to give them the different paths to get there to get to their desired financial savings, investing, and spending goals.
Mm. Yeah. And if your spouse isn't on board and you download this program, the most powerful thing that you can do to make an impact on your relationship is start doing it yourself. Start implementing it yourself. Take the focus off of your spouse and just think, okay, so what can I do? Be conscious about what you're spending. And it's amazing how when you stop looking at your spouse as the problem and stop focusing on them and pointing out their faults, and you start just being conscious of yourself and making good choices, it's amazing how quickly there's a shift that happens. All of a sudden, they're not living so defensive and they're looking over and seeing, what are you doing? Or
Mhm.
start appreciating what you're doing. And then that could just open up that dialogue and start that conversation that Kim was referring to.
Exactly. And that's the thing I always tell couples too. You didn't decide to get married. Like when you were dating, right? You loved all the different parts of this person that you were dating. You looked at them with googly eyes, right? Like you got married because you were like, this is my very best friend. And I can't imagine having a best friend that I am just like, yeah, I just hate talking to them about something so vital and so important that literally touches everything from our retirement, from the car we drive, from I want to take a year off work because I'm exhausted and I just want to take time from my maternity leave, whether we want kids, whether we want to send our kids to private or public, what daycare we go. Like there are so many decisions that are being made about your life that are surrounding money. And if you cannot get this one thing of how to communicate with your spouse, if you can't get that down, if you can't have a conversation with your very best friend about money, then I have very serious concerns about the rest of all the different parts of your marriage that you're like, oh, we're tiptoeing around the conversation of money. If we could get this down and we can get this right, how much further could we go together?
Mm,
Or could we accomplish? How much happier would we be?
hmm.
And so that's really, this is your best friend we're talking about. It is worth to invest to understand how to talk to your best friend effectively about money.
Yeah, and that affects everything in your life and even your legacy and your children, your family, right?
Yeah.
And even if you relate to the conversation or the area of, or um, the if you relate to the person that was talking about divorcing their spouse because of bankruptcy and protect themselves from bankruptcy, start here. Start
Yeah.
here. Bankruptcy and divorce and like though that is terrible. Like that's you're already in this space where you're almost giving up. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing that I can do. So there's nothing left for you to lose at this point to than to just, take a moment, download the Wealth Navigator, go through it and see what can you do? Can you
Yeah.
make a shift? Can you make a small shift each day? Where, be conscious of what's going on. So,
Exactly.
I mean, like if you're at that point already, and we're getting questions about that in the group, start somewhere. Book a call with Kim. Just yeah, I feel like I honestly, when I read posts like that, I just feel like they're at the place of giving up. Like there's no hope
Yeah.
anymore, right? And
Yeah.
that's heartbreaking.
It
And it's
is.
over money, right? And
Yeah.
and and so I just feel like this is handy. This is a free resource. Utilize it. Uh,
Utilize it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit before about like, and I'll say this one thing and then we can wrap up. You asked about percentages of divorce.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was like, oh, I wanted to make sure I had that down. So in terms of like money, it's one of the top three reasons for divorce, along with infidelity and incompatibility, right? So 20 to 40% are around that have to do with money. But over 65% of marriages end because of communication issues, right? I'm
Mm,
unable to have a conversation with the person and have them understand, which I'm like, wow, how many of those communication has to do with money? That's a
mhm.
study that I don't know has been done. We can go deeper in that. But
Yeah.
I guarantee you, majority of them, if not all of them, have something to do with lack of understanding, lack of communication around finances, which is why I say if we can understand how to do this, and if you're just at the brink where you're like, we're okay though, like we have tense fights about it, but that's normal. What if it wasn't? What if it wasn't? What
Mm-hmm.
if that was like a weird thing? Like for us, it's weird. Like we don't fight about money at all. We're very much aware. What if that wasn't weird? What if you invested the time and understanding of having a good, solid relationship around money? Again, how much further could you go? How much happier would you be? Don't wait until you're at the point of, oh my gosh, this is my last resort. Because then we have a whole host of other things we're dealing with at the same time. So if there's a little bit of a nudge, I implore you, get the the Wealth Navigator tool and book a call. Like just book a call
Hmm.
to get some
Yes.
support and just get some ideas.
Oh, that's so great. And if you want to hear about Kim and Dan's story and how they started this all, that you can find their interview in the guide section. I'm gonna actually try to maybe repost that or grab that link somewhere because it just tells you kind of their story that they did it themselves. They had to walk the walk before they're here today. So
We
I
also
mean,
have our
honestly,
podcast too.
oh yeah, tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, you can also check us out on our podcast called the Affluent Marriage Podcast. It's available anywhere, and it literally starts from here's where we started, here's our story. We interview other couples who have won with money and how they've done it because we're not the only ones. So let's
Mhm.
talk to other couples who have been really great with their finances and talk about how they've been able to overcome debt, overcome infidelity, overcome so many distrust with finances, and to get to the place that they are where they're feeling really in compatible and
Mhm.
they're on the team effort to get to their place that they want to be in financially. So check that out too. So lots of resources for you to really get a feel for me before you get on a call. I understand.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, thanks so much, Kim. Links will be down below, and if you want to reach out, you can find Kim's link below as well as in the directory as well. Thanks so much, Kim. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good one.